Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, the prosecution rests in the Delphi case. Young thug pleads guilty. The Daniel Penny trial begins with opening statements. Past performance is indicative of future results, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you an example of that. And we have a very strong contender for the Mother of the Year contestant that we have every year. We have This Day in Legal History and our Dumb Criminal of the Day. Let's talk about it.
Lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, hit that little bell for notifications, and remember, you can always check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Can't believe it. We've got over 2 million downloads on the podcast itself. Unbelievable. Not to mention, I don't know how many millions that we have here on YouTube and Rumble and everywhere else. So thanks for watching. All right, before we get to the show, please go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. That's where you can sign up for a background subscription service where you can do a background subscription service search on anyone here in the United States, and you're going to get relevant information as to where somebody lives, their social media presence, emails, do they have a criminal history? Do they have liens and judgments against them? Everything you're going to find out that maybe somebody that's coming into your life new isn't going to tell you right out front. And so you need to not waste your time with them. Check them out. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. And hey, you can cancel at any time. But who doesn't want to run a background search on just about everybody that we talk about here on the show? I run a search on just about everybody. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for November 1st of 2024. Can you believe the year is almost over? Where has it gone? First on the docket, the prosecution rests in the Richard Allen case there in Delphi, Indiana. So it's been roughly 7 years since the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found there near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. Now, Richard Allen, the man of killing the 2 teenage girls, is standing trial for those charges, and we are now in the 13th day, all right? So this trial began way back on October 18th with 16 Allen County residents to serve as jurors in this particular case. Now, 12 people, 8 men and 4 women, began the trial as jurors, and 4 alternates are serving as well. Now, before the prosecution rested, the prosecutor said he was entering jailhouse calls, and the jurors could have 7 calls from Richard Allen to Janice Allen and Kathy Allen. Now, the defense attorneys said the state is not playing recording number 1 and only plans to play number 2 and 3 from April 3rd of 2023, and the defense objected based upon the rule of completeness. Now, those 3 recordings were from 3 calls on that date that was argued, and the first was at 3:12 a.m. that day, is from Richard Allen to his mother, Janice Allen, and in that call, there are no incriminating statements from Richard Allen. He says he doesn't know how much longer he can stay lucid and is losing his mind in custody. He professes his innocence throughout that call, and the other 2 calls from 5:14 a.m. and 8:45 a.m. are from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy Allen. Now, Mr. Rozzi, the defense attorney for Mr. Allen, said that you can't listen to the second and third without the context of the first call, and the state is intentionally trying to admit that call in an attempt to present or keep those facts away from the jury. The prosecution responded that based upon that logic, you'd have to play every call that Richard Allen ever made, and said the defense can call Richard Allen to play the first call if they would like. Needless to say, Mr. Rozzi responded that that's unfair to expect Allen to waive his right not to testify due to the state's unwillingness to follow evidentiary rules. It's one of those situations where you play all or you play none, he argued. Well, how do you think Judge Gull ruled? Well, Judge Gull said she doesn't believe the doctrine of completeness applies because each of the 2 calls would have to be played from beginning to end. Baldwin said Allen's references the earlier call in his later calls, and Gull said that she was sticking with her decision to allow the jury to hear only 2 of the 3 calls. Now, just quickly, ladies and gentlemen, the rule of completeness is that if you ask a witness a question from his previous statement, for example, and you kind of cherry pick that particular statement, under the rule of completeness, you want to submit the entire statement into evidence or be allowed to talk about that so that you get complete and total context. It's a little different when you have 3 phone calls. Now, if they only wanted to play, say, 30 seconds of a 3-minute call, under the rule of completeness, you could argue that the 3 minutes should be played, assuming it's still relevant and doesn't violate the rules of 403, which say it's more prejudicial than probative. All right? So you get it? So although the judge ruled the way she did, I kind of understand the way she did it. She's like, there's 3 calls. The rule of completeness would apply to each individual call, not all 3 put together. So I think the judge probably made the right call on that one. And guess what? The prosecution is right by saying, well, the defense can certainly present evidence if they'd like to, but the only person they can introduce that call through would be Richard Allen, which is kind of saying, I dare you. I dare you to call him to the stand. Anyway, jumping back to one of the calls the prosecution did want to play was the one on November 14th of 2022. And that's where Master Trooper Hartman talked about a call from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy. Now, Harshman said that Richard Allen tells his wife, if this becomes too much for you, call the detectives and I'll tell them whatever they want to know. Then on November 14th of 2022, there's a call from Richard Allen to his wife again. Approximately 5 minutes. Richard Allen says, I love you, and is crying, sounds very distraught. He tells Kathy, I don't want you to worry about me. He says, I'm sorry 3 times while crying. He also says, I effed up. If anything happens, I'll see you in the next life. Take care of the family. Then on April 2nd, 2023, there's a call from Richard Allen to his mother, Janice, approximately 9 minutes long. Harshman said that Allen confessed to killing Abby and Libby and tells his mother that he has found Jesus in God. Now, during that call, Allen initially sounded quite upbeat and positive and asked his mother if she's going to church that day. Allen then cries and asks his mother, did Kathy tell you that I've accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as his Savior? He also says, I've got a family that's always going to love me no matter what, and I know we're all going to be back together eventually. He says, I didn't accept God into my life until March 21st of 2023. Then on April 3rd, 2023, a call from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy, approximately 3.5 minutes. The jurors heard a number of calls from Richard Allen to his wife in which he calmly said that he killed Libby and Abby. Honey, I did it. I killed Abby. I killed Libby, Allen said during that call. Kathy Allen, the wife, repeated to her husband for him not to say that, but he continued to state he killed the girls in the call. Then on May 10th, there's a call from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy. It's approximately 5 minutes long. And during this call, Allen told his wife, I think I've lost my mind, in which his wife responds, we've all lost our minds at this point. Now, during the call, he said, I need to tell you something. Anyway, Allen says to his wife, which she responded, are you sure you want to talk to me about this over the phone? I know his attorneys don't want you to talk about it over the phone. Anyway, Mr. Allen said, I need you to know that I did this, Allen said to his wife. What? No, there's no way, Kathy responded. You are not well, so you don't need to say you did something that you didn't do. Allen then says again in the call, I have to let you know that I did it. The call ended because time ran out on the call. Then there's another call on May 10th, 2023, which is a call from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy, again, approximately 5 minutes. He says, quote, I have to spend the rest of my life here, Allen said to his wife on this call, and that she can be heard crying. I don't understand. I just got to know everybody is still going to love me. Allen confesses to the crimes again in this call. It's okay, honey. I did it, baby. Allen can be heard telling his wife, I killed Abby and Libby. Allen is heard asking his wife if she is always going to love him, and her crying and saying, I love you. Then on June 5th, we got another call, 2023, Richard Allen to his wife again, 7 minutes long. The investigator says that Allen sounds depressed in his call, noting that his call is very quiet. And in the call, Allen talks about losing his mind and ends the call. He then says, but you know that I done it, right? Then on June 11th, a call from Richard Allen to his wife, Kathy. The call starts with Allen telling his wife, I did it, and asks her if she still loves him. The call continues and later says, I feel like I'm already in hell. Now, after listening to the 7 calls, the trooper Harshman describes Allen's tone as calm, subdued, and solemn. And the prosecutors asked Mr. Harshman, the trooper, if there was any indication Allen was under stress, which Harshman responded no. Now, referring back to his testimony to Dr. Monica Walla, who treated Richard Allen while he was at the correctional facility, Harshman said what stood out to him from Allen's alleged confession to Walla was the detail where he said he was scared when he saw a van. Now, McClellan asks Harshman if he recognized the voice of the man on Libby's cell phone, to which Holloman said yes. McClellan then asks Harshman, who do you believe the voice is? And he says, Richard Allen. Now, Mr. Rozzi began his cross-examination after the mid-morning break, and Rozzi asked the investigator if someone told him that the Delphi resident, Brad Weber, was not a credible human being. Would that change his opinion? The trooper responded no. Rozzi asked Harshman if he ever considered Weber to be involved in the crime if the van was there at no time, in which Harshman responded no. Harshman confirmed Allen was videotaped 24/7, but Harshman did not agree that seeing those videos would be helpful in providing context. Harshman also confirmed throughout his career he's never been assigned to monitor an inmate like this, and Harshman said he did not go to see Allen's cell in Westville, but did go to his cell up in Cass County. Now, Rozzi asked Mr. Harshman if he ever saw the video of Allen eating feces, and the trooper said yes. Rozzi then asked Harshman if he thought that was to be psychotic behavior, but Harshman said he thinks Allen was just trying to get attention. Rozzi said Harshman mischaracterized a phone call Allen made to his wife. Rozzi claims Allen said he would say whatever it is they want me to say. Rozzi asked Harshman to confirm Allen made 3 phone calls on April 3rd, one of which wasn't reviewed by Harshman in his testimony. That call was allegedly made to Allen's parents. Now, Rozzi asked Harshman if Allen proclaimed his innocence in the phone call, but the prosecution objected to the question, to which special counsel Gull sustained that objection. That would be self-serving hearsay, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's the way it goes. Admissions by party opponents, anything you say comes in, but the defense can't submit those statements on their own. The defendant has to take the call and testify to that. Has to be a hearsay exception. Anyway, Gull then had another sidebar conversation with counsel, Rozzi, and said that Allen made 700 phone calls, which is solitary confinement in 2 years. Well, ultimately, the jury returned from the lunch break, and they heard another phone call. This was from May 17th of 2023 from Richard Allen to his mother, Janice, in the call. Allen asked his mother if his wife, Cassie, told her what he did. His mother said, "We're not going to discuss this." Allen later said to his mother, "I'm just worried you guys aren't going to love me because I said I did it." Allen's mother told him he wasn't in a good place then and will always love you no matter what. Allen confessed to the crime again then. Allen's mom said, "Rick, don't talk like this. I think they're messing with you. I just know you don't have it in you to do something like this." Allen then said, "Mom, why would I tell you what I didn't do?" During redirect, the prosecution asked the trooper if he'd ever seen Allen violent. Harshman said video from the jail shows Allen screaming loudly, irately pounding on the doors of his cell and telling the guards he's going to effing kill them. The defense objected to this, mentioning that this alleged video wasn't turned over in discovery or shared with them. Gull issued a break to allow the defense to watch the video. And then the prosecution rested their case after the testimony from their 40th witness. The defense then began calling their case. The first witness was Cheyenne Mill, who said that she was on the Monon High Bridge the day of the murders with a friend and saw a man who didn't respond when they said hi. The second witness, Teresa Liebert, who lives across the creek from where the girls' bodies were found, testified she saw a man she didn't recognize standing near a group in the mailbox and said that she had never seen that person again. The defense's third witness was a person by the name of Christopher Guti, who's been with the Hammond Police Department since 2005 and has done some work on the Delphi murder investigation. Now, Mr. Guti said that he was assigned to an FBI task force back in 2014, and his work on the Delphi case mostly consisted of interviews. He said he was assigned to the case no more than 2 weeks. Now, the defense brought him in to discuss Brad Weber, who testified on day 11 on the case, and he owns property across from the murder scene and testified that he was driving on an access road about 2:30 p.m. On the day of the murders. Now, during Allen's key confession, he said a van spooked him, leading him to order the girls across the Deer Creek to kill them. Defense attorneys, one of the defense attorneys, Jennifer Auger, asked Guti if Weber went straight home from work that day, and Guti said he didn't know. The attorneys showed him a report from February 19th of 2017 to refresh his memory. He had spoken to Weber on that day. However, he couldn't say if Weber told him he went straight home after that work. The timeline is important for the state's theory on how and when the murders played out. Once Mr. Guti was finished, Dr. Deanna Dwenner took the stand, and she served as the director of the behavioral health of the Indiana Department of Corrections since 2021, and she said that she's familiar with Mr. Allen. She worked closely with Dr. Monica Wallace as their supervisor, and Walla is the clinical psychologist who treated Allen in the Westerville Correctional Facility and testified about his detailed confessions. The defense noted that Walla was a true crime fan who had been deeply interested in the Delphi murder case. Well, Ms. Dwenger's account, Walla informed her that she had a special interest in the case back in early 2023 after Allen was assigned to her and even recommended some true crime podcasts for her. Well, the doctor testified that she thought it was unusual for Walla to visit a crime scene related to someone that she was working with, and it was revealed in court earlier this week that Walla traveled to the area near the Monon High Bridge where the girls were found dead. Dwenner said that this first happened before Walla even treated Allen, and she also testified that solitary confinement and mental health issues that Dwenner said that she didn't know why Allen was placed in solitary confinement, and told the court that she was concerned about the constant video surveillance of Mr. Allen in prison. She recommended that cameras be removed, although that didn't happen. She also said that she was told that other inmates regularly threatened Allen, and she didn't hear any of those threats herself. Now, Dr. Dwenner said solitary confinement is not good for someone's mental health, adding that the longer someone is held in solitary, the worse their mental health can get. She said that the DOC policy that someone with serious mental illness should be in solitary confinement for more than 30 days. Dwenner said Allen was SMI, or serious mental illness, and gravely disabled, and told the court that long-term segregation can be harmful for a person's mental state. Someone with restrictive housing, such as Allen, gets more monitoring than treatment, although they would still receive some treatment, she did say. She agreed it was not therapeutic setting and could actually be toxic to the welfare of someone with mental health issues. There are policies to make sure that someone with SMI doesn't continue to decompensate, the doctor said, but none of those policies were used for Allen. Now, during cross-examination, by the prosecutor, Dr. Dwenner said Allen wasn't diagnosed as SMI until April of 2023, and that Walla advocated for a family visit. By Dwenger's recollection, Walla believed that Allen was feigning symptoms, and she asked a psychiatry to see Allen. They discussed involuntary medicine, being his symptoms were getting worse and he wasn't sleeping. They recommended Halidol, which is a pretty strong antipsychotic medication, and it was administered to help with his psychosis. The defense attempted to ask about legal action involving DOC in 2012 that led to an objection which the judge sustained. It was one of multiple sidebars and objection during the doctor's testimony. Now, there were several juror questions. Juror questions for Dr. Dwenner. One juror asked if detainees under a safekeeping order are kept in general population. Dwenner said they were. Another asked if it was possible for Allen to be faking symptoms to keep away from the general population. Dwenner asked her it was possible, but couldn't say for sure. Another juror asked if Dwenner heard threats directed at Allen. She said no. A fourth question asked if it was possible for a person to slip truths into confessions regardless of whether or not they were faking symptoms. Dwenner said it was hard to tell, but she's seen it in both ways. Dwenger's answers to jury questions about this process for a person with SMI who under safekeeping orders and said the procedure was the same as if it was for the general population. Now, the final juror question asked was about the DOC's primary responsibility was for the safekeeping with someone with serious mental health issues. Dwenner said the safety was the primary concern. Now, when court returned after the mid-morning break, the prosecution and defense sparred over videos of Allen in his cell and how much would be shown. This led to another break in the proceedings, and it appears Judge Gull decided to allow the videos to be played without audio. They continued to argue, though. Now, the defense said they couldn't say for sure when the videos were taken, as they were just given this stuff in discovery, and they couldn't say what day it was. Gull said they can't use the videos if they can't verify the dates. The defense says they'll do some additional research and try to come up with that evidence later on. Now, Allen's team is intended to call after lunch more witnesses, and there's been a lot of objections and sidebars throughout the day. Apparently only 73 minutes of morning testimony due to the sidebars. Next, rapper Young Thug pleads guilty. That's right. Rapper Young Thug pled guilty Thursday in Atlanta to gang, drug, and gun charges and will be released from jail, though he could be put back in jail if he violates the terms of his sentence. Now, the artist, who was given name as Jeffrey Williams, entered his plea without reaching a deal with prosecutors after negotiating between the two sides broke down, and the lead prosecutors represented that to the judge. That left the sentence completely up to the Fulton County Superior Court Judge, Paige Reese Whitaker. Now, Young Thug's plea comes 2.5 years after he was arrested and charged, with nearly a year after the prosecution started presenting evidence in the very plagued jury trial. Now, jury selection in this case began in January of 2023, and that took nearly 10 months. Prosecutors then called dozens of witnesses since opening statements since last November for a trial of 6 defendants. The trial has faced numerous delays, including when in July when the original judge was removed after 2 defendants sought his recusal, citing a meeting the judge had with the prosecutors and the state witnesses. Now, Young Thug pled guilty to 1 gang charge, 3 drug charges, and 2 gun charges. He also had entered a no contest plea to another gang charge and a racketeering conspiracy charge, meaning that he decided not to contest those charges, but he can be punished as if he pled guilty. Now, the judge imposed a sentence of 40 years, with the first 5 years to be served in prison, but commuted to time served, followed by 15 years of probation. And if he successfully completes that probationary period without any violations, another 20 years will be commuted to time served. But if he violates the condition, he will have to serve those 20 years in prison. Now, Young Thug must stay away from the metro Atlanta area for the first 10 years of his probation, except for weddings, funerals, graduations, or serious illnesses of family members. The judge also ordered him to return to Atlanta area 4 times a year during his probation to make a live anti-gang, anti-gun violence presentation at a school or community organization. She also said that will count towards the 100 hours of community service that she has ordered him to complete within the next year of probation. And he's also not allowed to associate with gang members or victims of other defendants in this case. Needless to say, that case should have been over long ago. It was a complete fiasco. Judges, no trial. It takes 10 months to seat a jury. I don't know how they're doing things in Atlanta there, but that is ridiculous. Next, the trial of Daniel Penny has begun. That's right. Opening statements began this morning in the manslaughter case against Mr. Penny. Now, he has been put on trial because he put Jordan Neely into a deadly chokehold after the homeless man made threats on a crowded subway car back in 2023. Now, lawyers for Mr. Penny, who is a Long Island native who served honorably in the United States Marine Corps, told jurors Friday that there was only one thing that Daniel Penny could do as a disturbed Neely ranted and raved on board the train, terrifying his fellow travelers and saying, "I will kill you." Now, prosecutors maintained that the chokehold was unnecessary, telling the jury Penny went too far and kept Neely in the chokehold even after the troubled man lost consciousness. Now, jurors are going to be shown the body cam footage of the first responders trying to revive Mr. Neely after Mr. Penny put him into the chokehold, where you can hear people saying, "He's not breathing." Medics would arrive on scene, and they'll be in the video showing different methods trying to bring Mr. Neely back, including chest compressions, CPR, a defibrillator, and also injecting Narcan. Mr. Penny could be seen calmly standing nearby, chewing what people described as gum. Anyway, the video was played during the testimony of the first trial witness, Officer Teodoro Tejada, who told the jurors he just checked in to see if Neely was alive but had no pulse. Now, Officer Tejada also searched Neely for weapons, but only found a muffin in his jacket. At one point during the video, Penny could also be heard telling officers to put Neely down. Now, when troubled subway rider Jordan Neely threatened, quote, "I want to kill or I will kill" on a crowded subway train, Daniel Penny felt he had to intervene to protect himself and the other riders, his defense attorneys argued. And when Neely threatened to kill, there was only one thing that Daniel Penny could do. Now, when Daniel Penny intervened with the troubled homeless man, Jordan Neely, he did for the others, because someone had to do something for us. That's what he's going to say the other jurors or other witnesses are going to testify to. Now, the attorney also described Neely as a raving lunatic who was terrifying passengers when he stepped onto that train and began ranting about serving prison time and threatening to take food and money from the riders on the train. The chokehold that Neely was put into and was seething and psychotic when he got on that train. And as the subway doors close, a seething, psychotic Jordan Neely comes on board and announces his presence. The lawyer said the homeless Neely whips his jacket over his head and slams it to the ground with such force that even people who don't see it actually hear it. Then Neely started demanding that people give him food and money and threatened to take it from them if they didn't. Neely then began ranting about going to Rikers Island and getting a life sentence, the lawyer stated in opening statements. Their fear turns to outright panic, the attorney said. And guess what? One of the riders included a mother who was barricading her baby behind a bench. It's going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I'm biased on this one. I normally don't care. Just let's call balls and strikes. I get it. But this one, I think people are just tired of these people not acting within kind of the social norms, acting completely crazy. And then when somebody says, hey, you can't act that way. Hey, you need to stop threatening people. And yes, it's an unfortunate thing that Mr. Neely died. But, don't act a fool on the train. And that never would have happened. If he just got on the train and gone to where he wanted to go, this wouldn't be here. And then, of course, everybody flips it around saying, Mr. Penny, must be a racist because he killed this guy. No, the guy had mental illness. He was threatening people. Anyway, next, past performance is always indicative of future results. So a murderer who killed his mother and brother when he was just 15 years old has just recently killed 2 more people just 4 months after finishing his prison sentence. Please meet Dustin Caudill. Now, he was 15 when he was arrested for the deaths of his mother, Karen Caudill, and his younger brother, who was only 10 at the time, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, back in 1994. Well, police at the time said Caudill shot his brother after they had an argument, and he then shot his mother dead when she got home later that night. Now, Caudill, who's now 43, was released in 2020 after serving 27 years in prison, but was arrested again in 2023 for violating his parole. Now, police now say that just 4 months after his release, Caudill murdered Blake France and Anthony Garrett before burning down their house in Elizabethtown, Kentucky as well. Now, the victims were shot dead inside the burned home, leading police to obviously launch an investigation into the arson, and then they find murder. Well, witnesses say they saw a gold pickup truck leaving the scene, which led the police to Mr. Caudill, and the killer was found nearby at a motel getting rid of a gun. Well, Caudill then admitted to shooting the victims and intentionally setting fire to the residence, according to the police chief there. He also allegedly confessed to stealing the victim's wallet and throwing them away at a gas station, as well as trying to shoot a third person. Now, Caudill is charged with 1 count of arson to the first degree, 2 counts of murder, 1 count of tampering with physical evidence, 1 count of wanton endangerment in the first degree, 1 count of robbery to the first degree, and 1 count of possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. Police don't have a motive yet. Past performance is indicative of future results, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, can people change? Yes, they can. Did Mr. Caudill change after 27 years in prison? Apparently not. I don't think he'll ever be getting out again. Next, we have a definite Mother of the Year contestant. I know, if you're new with Crime Talk, we've been giving this out every year. It's jokingly made, all right? It's a joke. It's like sarcasm. Anyway, this Mississippi mother was arrested on a charge of felony child abuse after she gave her 10-year-old daughter pills to take in a suicide pact the mom had made with the daughter. This is according to the Ocean Springs police chief, Ryan Lamary. Now, police there in Huntsville, Alabama, arrested Brittany Lee Hensley on a felony warrant issued from the Ocean Springs Police Department in September, 2 months after the crime occurred in July. Now, Ms. Hensley fled the area a short time after police responded to a report in July of a medical emergency at the extended stay motel, a Studio 6, where the mother and child had been living. She had this pact apparently with her daughter, and then the daughter took the pills, but then Miss Hensley, the mom, decided she didn't want to do that. So when the mom started freaking out that her daughter wouldn't wake up, paramedics ultimately took the child to the local hospital for treatment. Now, paramedics ultimately took the child to the hospital, and once the child regained consciousness, the police chief said that the child told the police about the suicide pact with her mother, and how it was made. However, the mother didn't attempt to take her own life and was set to meet with police investigators and Child Protective Services before she fled the area. Anyway, they suspected that the mom may have headed to Alabama because they learned that she had relatives in the area. And then on October 15th, authorities arrested her in Alabama. She's been extradited back to Mississippi, and she's been booked into the jail on a $500,000 bond, which I'm not sure she's ever going to make. Mother of the Year. Suicide pact with your daughter and you chicken out. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A society is judged how we will treat women with respect and how we protect our children. And mothers have, an obligation to their children. Throughout nature, all mothers protect their young. They don't go into suicide pacts with them. Next on the docket, this day in legal history. On November 1st, 1961, Thurgood Marshall, who later became the first black United States Supreme Court justice, was confirmed to the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals. His judicial career and rulings helped shape the civil rights law and the interpretation of the United States Constitution. On this day, November 1st, 1972, the United States suspends the draft. That's right, the U.S. formally suspended the military draft, moving towards the all-volunteer armed forces. And this shift influenced military policy and led to eventually establishing the selective service system, which exists today. And on November 1st, 2001, various surveillance provisions from the United States of America Patriot Act signed into law the previous months took effect. The provisions expanded the government's surveillance capabilities in response to the 9/11 attack and reshaped laws related to privacy and national security, which is basically anything goes in front of a FISA court. You can tell them whatever they want. Not a single one has ever been turned down, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. A prolific shoplifter was banned from wearing wigs after numerous attempts to disguise herself. Now, Hannah Roberts used a series of hairpieces to try and beat a ban on entering shops. Anyway, she was handed a behavior order by a magistrate in Gloucester. This is International Dumb Criminal of the Day, ladies and gentlemen. Roberts was banned by the City Safe scheme from entering any members' shops, but repeatedly ignored the sanctions. When challenged by staff or security officers, Roberts had reportedly become abusive and then run off with the stolen items. In an effort to get around the ban, she was also wearing wigs to disguise herself. However, a distinctive tattoo on her neck meant that the staff could easily recognize her. And anyway, under this order, Roberts has been banned from entering the Gloucester City Center for any shops in the Gloucester City Safe scheme. She's also prohibited from wearing a wig or a hairpiece designed to change her appearance when entering a retail premises. Don't think I've ever seen anything like that issued here in the United States, but hey, this is not in the United States. This is in England. Anyway, the police say they're going to continue to support the businesses in the city by targeting shoplifters, which we support, ladies and gentlemen, which we support. I've just never seen anyone banned from doing that. Usually we wait until you do something and then we arrest you. I guess you get a no contact order. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. She's our dumb criminal of the day. All right, long show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember, the Constitution matters.